Hi, welcome to another Woodworking Wisdom. It's Wednesday. I'm Jason. We're going to get on with that little table we started last week, the little tulip table. So the tulip wood table we've done quite a bit too. So since you were last here on that marathon session, I did all that work, and it's a little bit cooler today, which is great. Last week was a bit warm. I hope you kept up with it. I'm sorry if it seemed to rush. If you have questions on that, let Ben know. He's going to answer them with me today. So on our table, we've got the frame here. I've glued up the short rails, got the long rails to do. So first thing we're going to do, we're going to look at that, glue this under frame together. So I've got it assembled, dry assembled, have a look, made sure things will go back together. There's nothing worse than trying to put something together and you find that something's altered a little bit. What could alter? I've glued up the short sides, as I said, a little spot of glue inside where those mortises come through, that could affect it. So I did even clean them out, make sure everything will go. So first thing we've got to do, get this apart. Now, if things are nice and fitted, won't always move. Good things can be this style of clamp. We have a lock bit on here. If I push this black button up, take that off, going to turn it right round, bring it down on the other end, clip it on. I can put there, get it right round so I can hold it. I can pump this apart, can even quick move it. One side, get to the other. Some of you, yeah, I know, you get your mallet and your hammer out and you bruise the fibres before we start. So at least by doing that, I'm pumping it apart, a bit more in control. Going to drop this over, pull that one out. Got to get this one apart. Good. So you can see how everything sort of comes apart there. I said about the mortises, we have a mitered corner on these where they join through. So I've checked the glue inside here isn't interfering with what I've glued up on the short frames. Going to stop anything meeting correctly. So that's quite an important part. So we've got to glue these together. Quite a lot to do today. So let's have a look. Going to do some glue. Do you think we want to get on with this quite quick today? Going to use some quick setting PVA. I could use the pour lid. But I want a little bit in a pot. Last week we used that silicone glue brush. It's still got the glue on here. So let's clean it. With it being silicone bristled, nothing sticks. Put it back in there. It gets rid of all the old glue. Making sure I know which joint goes in where. Can be worth, I go do far side first so I don't have to reach over it. Putting in the vise. Don't want loads and loads of glue. The joints fit quite nicely. Work round. So the silicone glue brush will allow me to get a nice layer, quite thin. Have a little bit on that haunch and in there. I haven't put any in the shoulders because when I push this into the mortises, it'll push it back against that shoulder. So nice and firm. Going to do the same with the other rail. Let's just move that round a little bit so see that better on the camera now. That one, going to push them in. Spot of glue on there already, so let's lose that. I think we'll get a bit more out there in a second. The other thing with this glue brush, got a little scraper head, so it's quite effective scraping that off. I'll get a bit more to get in there in a second. But we're going to do the other ends of these. Now, the reason I've done them like I have stops the glue running. So Ben, if you go back, probably that's better. Good. So I can do these here. If I do all 4 tenons and then put it together, the glue will run everywhere. Bit too much on there, so scrape it back. That's good. A bit on the haunch. Going to turn it round. Do the other side. So I'm gluing it or putting the glue on what I can see. So the legs we cleaned up with the hand plane last week. We got that nice taper. Cleaned everything up, given things a little bit of a light hand sand. So I've cleaned up everything there. Got to bring this together now. So let's turn it around to there. Put this on nice and carefully. One side, other side. Good. So we've got our frame to there. We want to clamp it together. Make sure it doesn't move. So I'm going to use parallel jaw clamp. Victor then has camera on. Just going to bring this in a little bit. So nice deep throat section on here. We've got adjustable head. Can bring it back if I can undo it. And slide it along. Other thing these have, little foot. So the joy with a little foot will sit on the bar. You have a flat platform that will sit and support the work bit. But I want to get my pressure in a particular place. So I actually turn that point over so it'll clip on. So I haven't got the flat on the top. It makes it a little bit higher, this section, for the top of the clamp. So that's the reason I've turned those over. You'll see in a second where we're going to do. I'm just going to put the table frame just on there while I get the other clamp. Do we have? So there, bring this along, slide it out a little bit. Carcass onto there. Get things in the right place. I do know that from playing around earlier, a couple of issues with things moving. So let's just see what that does for a second. We'll go with there. Push these up. Right on, Ben. So back to camera one on there. Line things up. Now what I'm trying to do on here is line up the clamp head pressure with where the tenon is. That's quite important. And again, by playing around, I can alter the pressure point, even by adding something like a piece of plywood, a bit of MDF. So I've moved that up a little bit. So I'm putting my pressure in line with where the joint is. And that sounds a weird thing to kind of say. Most clamps, if you look at, they have a little bit of a tilt back action when you clamp things together. A bit to do up on there. Let's pull that in. Shot one. Okay. Just going to do the same down here. So what I find on here with most clamps, sash clamps, is exactly the same. That you've got the heads tilt back, they push the work a bit more diagonally. So on here, quite easy to set up there. Just checking how things are. Going to put a bit of ply on the other end of this one so I can get my pressure totally in line with that tenon right in the center of the workpiece. That's where we need the pressure too. Hold it there. Okay. Not too bad there. Now on here, let's have a feel. Squeezed it up. Just running my fingers around the underframe here. Got a slight step. This one, got one on the other side. I'm just going to grab F clamp. One of those bits of ply. Going to bring it down to there. Tighten it up. Tighten that one. That's pulled it back down nicely on there. Going to do the other side on here. I want to try and get this as flush as I can whilst we can. If not, you've got to start playing with your hand plane. It's difficult to get to. So we're pushing the rail, pulling it down against the leg. The bit of plywood is going underneath the leg as well. Put that back in. Check how my pressure looks, where things are. Tighten the clamps up. Drop my ply on this end, so I'm going to bring that back up. Amazing how much more interesting adding glue to a project makes the gluing up sequence. So in other words, if you glue it up dry and have a look, then you start adding glue, it can be a bit more fun. Right, okay, hopefully that's pretty good there. Joints come together. Just check where things are. We've got a lot of pressure coming in from there. Good. So, need to just clean that glue brush off a little bit. I have that. Come in. Not too much glue. Now, got ideas on here. We can go with that yellow spatula. Just going to clean that up. One there. One on there. Not too much on here. Nothing on that one. Good. Not a lot of glue come out of those. In the cup, some hot water. Don't want more than you need. This will raise the grain fibers of where you've sanded stuff. Rough it up a bit, so don't want too much. Good. Missed that bit in there. Look. So let's get that. Put the cup out of the way. They look right. Now, hopefully, bring to there. Bring it over. We can turn that over. I'm going to drop it down on the floor. Put it there. That's good. First bit done. Move things about, which we need to get to. So once the glue's gone off, we want to get on with that session during the afternoon. I'm glad you waited, Ben. Good. So, go on, Ben. What you got?
So a question here from Maria. She says, hello, Jason. With the glue squeeze out, she was told years ago not to use water and a damp cloth as it pushes diluted glue into the grain and can affect stains and things. Is that correct?
I know where you're heading. Okay. I've used warm water. It should cut through most of the glues. If you leave it, you've got the problem, especially how I've set it up. It's going to possibly run down the leg further. Some of us would leave the glue until it goes to a jelly-like state, then clean it up. But warm water shouldn't hurt you much. I mean, the boys in here, we've made lots of winter chairs and always trying to clean stuff over. When I rough the fibres up and got them damp, I will clean that up again with a bit of abrasive later to get right into that corner very carefully. I've been minimal with my glue, so I haven't got too much creep. But yes, you are right. Especially if you're going to stain it, it can cause real issues. So that's something to look at, is the staining problem. On a table like that, if I was actually going to stain it with how the legs are actually set back from, or the underframe is set back from the legs, I might even stain the components before I put it together. That could be an interesting idea, because then you get over that dilemma of cutting back through the stain if you sand it. So, good point to make. Yeah, either way. All right, I've always used warm water. Never had too many issues. On top, we glued up last week, so we've got the top line here, a little bit of glue down here. I've also got these, so let's just see a minute. Let's just bring that back a bit more, okay? So the overhead camera tweaked back. I've clamped on here those red grip clamps again. Some buttons to the other end. Why have I done this? This is about trying to stop any movement of the board whilst I've not been working on it. And it's just been sat on a bench. What I don't want it doing is dramatically cupping or twisting. So by putting the battens on it and clamping them in place, we'll hold it nicely. All right, so got our top. We've got a couple of things to do this, and I have cheated just a little bit. On here, I've done a rip cut, handsaw. We're down to here, right down there. And I've got a cross cut that comes across to about here. Why? That magic thing called time. So, have a quick look. Got my line. Going to go to there. I need to clamp this down. I want to do, and you'll see, hopefully, I think we can see on there. Good, yep. Going through the sequence of, now my top, when we made it, it's a little bit over width, over length. I didn't want to rip all of this down on camera. Quite a lot of effort. So, first things I want to do, I'm going to finish the cross cut down through here. Then I can shoot the board, clean it up, get the end nice and square, a hand plane. Then we can finish doing the rip cut. The reason for doing it in that sequence is the fact the fibres on this edge will be unsupported. They're going to break out a little bit. So if they break, it's not going to matter as long as they don't doesn't happen too dramatically. Then I can clean it up after. Back to my nice Japanese saw. So we've got a SHOKUNIN rip saw. This is double-edged one. I'm going to put that down in there. Check how much room I've got behind me. Look at my line. Again, keep the angle of the saw nice and low. We're not up steep with the handle high, 90 degrees to the board. Nice and low, we can help use what we cut to keep it straight. This is cutting on a pull stroke. Nice, quick, fast and effective. Clean finish. Not too bad to get though. We'll put that one back in the rack. Going to open the vise a little bit, release our clamp. On my way, Ben. Let me just set this up. So in the vise here, down on here, I've got a peg. One of you said about the showboat benches the other week. This has some legs in the hole, or holes down in the legs down on there. Where do I want to be? A bit higher. Let's come up. Next one. So I can have positions to support that there. About that. So it gives me something I can put pressure. Got a way of holding it. Okay. Ben, what have you got? Sorry.
Excuse me. Maria would like to know what glue you've used, the quick drying glue, and how quick it takes to go off.
All right. So this is just bring up your camera. This is on the shopping list that we do up. So this is Osmo, all right, Express wood glue. So for something like this, so this has a 5-minute set time. So it's quite quick. It's the only reason I've really used it for this. It gives me the aspect I can glue it up, get back on here, be nice and fast with it. So that's something we're thinking about. If you've got something you need quick setting glue, I'm not going to say it's going to be fully workable in 5 minutes. You can bang it about, but actually the fastest thing I can find, ideal hopefully for this. All right.
And is it strong? Is it strong bond?
I'm going to find out. I hope so. I really do. Let's have a quick. It's made by the same people that do Osmo finishes, so it will be quite all right. Excellent bond strength. There you go. They lay it as excellent. All right. Hopefully, Maria, that answers it. And nice to have you back. I don't know where you've been, but we did notice you weren't with us for a few days. So what's going on? Okay, we need to shoot the end of the board. Got this cut. Camera on there, Ben. I don't know if I can do. Just going to tweak a little bit. You might alter your angle a bit. Don't know if I can go back anymore. There, right. Okay, so I've got VERITAS low angle smoother. We've got the rip edge that I've got to finish over the far side. Well, a little bit more cut. You could use your block plane. I'm using this because it'll give me nice straight line, low angle. This is basically giant block plane. Cut through there nice and easily. I'm going to reduce my friction. Candle wax, fantastic for that. Now my aim with this is to get a finish straight off of here, no abrasive paper. Got a little bit to get that end, I can feel. Step. Listening to what's going on. Fingers on here are doing a lot of work. I make this look simple. I pick things up, just grab them. So my fingertips actually are running on the edge of the board. So I lay them there. Plane comes on top. So that bit there, that's there. A little bit of pressure. Push through. Control what's happening. Get yourself balanced before you move anywhere. I'm monitoring what's happening as a finish on the cut. Does it look constant? Got a little bit in through there. I've got a little bit of a hollow, so where obviously drifted with my hand, so a little bit here. Cut nail. Constant all the way through. You can hear that, hopefully. Tells you we're cutting all the way through. Nice clean finish off that. Gonna bring that round. Got to extend my line now, so careful not to dent anything. So let's clean all the stuff off the bench. Got my line down on here, coming down through. All right, Ben, on my way. Let me just grab the clamp again, and then we'll do your question. Let's check we're not going to cut the vice in half, because that's a bit detrimental. Okay, go on then.
So a question from Tio. This doesn't normally use a traditional mortise and tenon, but Festool domino. Could you use domino on a smaller project like this?
Definitely. But I'm a traditionalist. I spent years learning how to do this by hand. Domino? That's like cheating. No, of course you can. All right, it will speed things up. It's one of those weird things we've looked at. This is a course for some of the staff. So they do hand cut, they do a machine cut. We could do a domino. We could even do a pocket hole. A domino, what is it? It's basically a false tenon glued into both bits. Do a piece of timber. I think they've done tests. It's about 98% as strong as a normal tenon. So if you have such a luxury, wow, one day I'll get one. So you could have a domino, do it with that, definitely. At the end of this, I've got the cutting list size we use. So it is there. We will have a look for you in a minute. Going back to our saw. So I'll rip saw again back into there. Going to rip this off. That's good. You can see it, Ben. I just thought I'd check. Bit fine that side. Let's flip them over. Coarser side. Rip cut will be quicker. Again, we're quite low. There we go. So if you follow what we've just done there, we've planed the end where my hand is, where the clamp is. The little bit we've just finished ripping off, and I was going to do all of it, but it's just like, it gets a bit warm in here. It was a marathon week last week. So this little bit we finished ripping off. That's protected the corner, stopping any breakout. We can lose that now. Then we can plane this in. Going to go down the grain. What we got? Up to there, comes up this way, a little bit there, then back out. We need to be running that direction. So my grain direction's coming out a bit there, so a slight bit here, then back round. So in the voice, pick it up. Going to be up in there. Feeling what's going on. Hopefully, we'll stick with that for a minute here. I can have probably a bit more cut just to start with. High spot, no one there. Again, trying to get shaving all the way through. Got a few stop bits. Again, we're doing the same thing. Left hand supporting. I'm on the top. Try and feel yourself balanced. Move through. Now, if you compare this to last week when we did the legs, a bit more controlled what I'm doing. Haven't got as much material to remove. Not as stable to sit on. Why do I say that? It's narrower. Bring the blade up. Minute adjustment. So I've wound it back. I want to get lighter finishing cut now. We've got, there it is. Let's clean this out a little bit. So I said to you when we did the low angle planes the other week, so much easier to push through. Cutting a little bit off center. I'm going to move it over just a touch, and it's minute again. Next thing, when you put the plane down, don't drop it. You drop it, you'll make the blade jump forward. Maybe you're seeing these. They're beautiful, almost like lace. Nice, light, fine cut. Looking at, got a little bit of saw cut there, a little bit in the middle. So just taking that back. Lift off, got shaving, I need to pull out the bottom. Tiny bit on that end. Okay, let's see if we can get it. No, I could crank the blade up a little bit, and that's the temptation. Got a little bit of a drop right on that far end. We'll crank the blade up, take a heavier cut, lose it quicker, possibly tear the grain a bit more. Giving us nice fine cut. Can skew things a little bit. Check how I look. Do I look square? A little bit there. Okay. I've seen you, Ben, don't worry. On my way, mate. Let me just on there. Gonna come back a hole. Just positioning something for the next stage. This will be a good time just to do this and then get to there. Little bits of plywood underneath this stop. Gives me something on the bench. That'll fit into the showbird holes. That's underside, that's top. Okay.
Okay, so Adrian's asking, well, he's saying that he was always taught to angle the blade at 45 degrees.
Yep. So I can angle it, I can skew cut it. If I go dead straight, everything's parallel. It's quite a steep cut across. So by angling it, I'm not hitting the fibres parallel. Take a longer shaving or slightly wider, but actually it's more forgiving on the cut. So it's less likely to tear the grain fibres than if I'm dead parallel. So purely the reason. So you can angle things a little bit, it won't hurt, as long as you can balance the plane to keep it square. All right. So hopefully that answers that one. On here, we have this end. Bit of glue down in here, got the centre lines. So, let's have a look. Got that. I'm just going to say, I set up a 5 for this. I just want to see where things are. So this is number 5 plane. Why am I changing planes? I've set this up really sharp blade, nice and lightly just to do this cut, because we just want to skim this very lightly. Got a couple of high spots, nothing much. I could use the low A probably for this, but I've got this ready for this. I thought it'd be nice to use more traditional plane, give you the view of different things. You can see what we're removing. Nothing much. Tiny bit. Adjustment. Good. So through again, so we've got that lamp stop, just supporting stuff. Something to push against. Make some room on the bench so we're not going to hit the other plane. Handle. Really good. Just helps stick the shaving tool. That would be helpful. So this end a little bit, just to get in there, that hollow still. Now, some of you will be going, couldn't use a sander. We did have this discussion a little bit last week. I'd love to use a sander. Jenny, did you sand it? So our sander we talked about last week. Okay, we could use a sander. The other thing I can use, cabinet scraper. Try to do this traditionally a bit more. Traditionally, they did have abrasion paper. So I'll be interested now. Here we go. I'm going to give you the question. What 150 years ago, 200 years ago, did they use as abrasion paper? I'd love to know. You can text Bill, send your message to Ben. Let's see who knows. Cabinet scraper, look at that. Nice scraper. We are getting a shaving. We're not getting dust. It'll give me good finish. Burns my thumbs. What I really need is Ben to come in with his magic wand that he's going to make tomorrow and do his tickety-backety-boo thing on this. So, pushing through, but we're getting a shaving. Well, Jenny sent it.
So we've got an answer for your question on the abrasives.
Okay.
So Maria and Adrian are both saying shark skin.
They used to use dogfish skin and things like that, so very good, yes. We discussed bringing some in, but we weren't sure Ben was going to sit next to it if I had it over there. And it's also got to be dried, so it might smell a bit in here. So, no, very good. Traditionally, they would have used fish skin. Definitely things like dogfish skin. Okay, how about that? That look all right? That's quite nice. Go on then, Ben, what you got?
So another question from Tio. He said, does it make sense to scrape or sand after a very good run with a smoothing plane?
So initially this was quite flat. I could have gone down to a number 4, which would be a smoother. I've used a jack. I like the weight of the number 5 a little bit over a 4. That's purely the reason. Traditionally, yes, if you look through, you would use a number 4, which has the name of a smoother. A jack plane will do a little bit of everything. I just like that extra bit of weight. That's purely the reason for setting that up. So yes, you could use a 4. All right. So we've got our board, nice and flat. Great colour in this. I don't know if Ben can, look at that. That's going to look great. Okay. Just going to put it over there. Ooh. Take that out again. Use our stop. That's good. That fits nice in the Showberg bench. So that's a VERITAS item. Right. Okay. So we want my shooting board back in. Just checking where we are on there. Bear with me. I just want to bring that in a little bit. Oh, I've got to stretch a bit now. Oh, Ben, I'm losing your picture. There you go. Right. I'm just trying to bring the camera in for you guys just a little bit more. I've got to bring it back. That was better. Okay. Ooh. Right. We're now going to do the highlight of the afternoon. We're now going to make the buttons. What are buttons? I see a few of you managed to, okay, we've got these. All right. We've got plastic buttons in here. I've got a whole range of different things, but none of those are going to do the table. Chocolate buttons I could talk about for hours with you, but not today, all right? So remove those. Our buttons are a little piece of wood, all right? We're holing. This is what we're going to make. Going to show you a quick and easy, simple way. That goes into the button holes that we put in the table frame last week. So how do you make these quick and easily? That's the most important thing. Make them quickly. Want something, shoot the end. So first bit, a bit of timber, nice scrape grain. Don't go anything that's got really wild grain to it. So again, this is tulip, low angle plane. I'm being a bit heavy, a bit big for this. I wonder if I can do block plane on a shooting board. Why not? That's what it's for. Shoot the end. Glasses. Okay, need those. We need a square. We have one of them. Chisel from there and that. Now, normally wouldn't do what I'm going to do now, but it's the only way I could get this to show up nicely. We've just cleaned up the end. I'm going to use square. I'm going to use the stock of the square, the blade bit, up against the length we've just done, level here. I'm going to mark up with pen because it showed up better than the pencil. One line. All right, let's just see if we can. Good. The depth of my buttonholes, I can measure those. Just going to bend down to the table. 10 mil. All right, so I just measured it with the vernier. Oops, get it level. Set it up. Draw the line. Get your square. I'm going to mark both lines so we can do that one there, that one there. So we have width of the square, the blade, spacer gap 10 mil, width of the square. Got to extend some of those. And like I said, normally this would be done pencil, but it showed up so much nicer to show you what's happening. Got to bring some of these all the way round. Trying not to lean in too much. So you can see that's there, that's there. Might be enough. We then want to know how deep we need to be. So we've got a marking or cutting gauge. This is marking gauge for a wheel. I've used the same mortise chisel that we use to set up with and cut the mortises with. So put that in, that gives you my spacing. Just actually going to do a scribe line between those two. One there, one there. This is a little bit over in width. I can do the same round here. Probably ought to bring those lines round. Turn it round, do the other side as well. So let's drop those lines round. Going to help me. That there, that one there. See if we can highlight the two bits we've just done for you. That's the wheel marking gauge. There and there. All right. That looks all right in the picture, I think. So you've got the two marks there. That's the depth we want. Got these lines. I've got a stock. I'm going to put it down there. Right, I just need to put below my nose. We want a small saw. So I've got a Japanese saw for this. Smaller. Just going to bring you back just a little bit. On our line on the top here. Got to go down. Now we've got the two. I want to come halfway through the board. I can sight that by I'm just going to draw it on for you. And for there. This one. There's my line. Just checking you can still see that. You can. Why have I brought it the other side of my shooting board? Because this is a pull saw. I want to pull it up against that stop, not fight against it. Down to halfway, just short of. A little bit more. All right. Turn it over. Do the same again. A little bit more. Last one I want to cut, whilst I've got the saw, down here, the overall length. All the way through. Cut it off. Need to clean this end up. So, shooting board, you can see what we're getting there. That looks good. Nice clean shaving. Just going to flip it around, check it's all right. That's good. Play with the mic a minute. That's good. So at the moment we have our saw cut comes down halfway from there, halfway this side. So this side's got a cut. That's got a cut. So there, there. I don't know when trying to figure out a good way of doing this live. Was trying to figure out a way of doing this bit. So you could see it, not dance around too much on the bench. So bring that in. There's a bit of batten. I've got a little notch in there. I cut a little V in it. Position there. Clamp over the top. Bring it back in. Going to tighten the handle on the clamp. Got to keep it up right there. Oh. Cracked it. That's good. So then, hopefully, I've got some nice straight grain wood. I can break those fibers off. Now that looks really crude. Just got to move a few things about. I need to get to that table frame just a little bit. So I've got to move the tabletop off of there. Bring this back into play just a little bit. I think Ben can probably just about get me on there. So I've got a button. Got to fit it in our hole down in here. Going to adjust it. What can I use? We could use chisel. One of my favourite tools in here, Japanese CARVER'S files. Because you can push there. Again, we can use the shooting board just to support it, checking things look square. Check how that is. Fit that in, a little bit to go. Still tight near edge, so I need to drop my handle down a little bit. Cutting as I push away. That fits in nice and tightly. I want to have a quick look, see where I need to come down to, how much I need off there. Now, why are we using buttons? What do they do? This allows the top to move. So timber moves across the grain. It expands and contracts. It would be easy to go, I'll put a couple of metal brackets underneath. Bit unsightly if you're looking underneath. No, people don't look, do they? You could use pocket hole jig, yeah, you could, but you're limiting the movement of the wood across the grain. Can cause problems as in splitting, distortion, all those sort of things. Traditionally, buttons would have been used to allow the wood to move, expand and contract because they slot in. So quite a nice way of doing it. So we have those there. Okay, Ben, what have you got?
So Maria's asking, apart from the fact that they obviously need to fit in the holes, is there a recommended size for the buttons?
Not really. No, there's nothing really as a size. I've gone with something obviously on the top. It's almost flush with the rail. On here, I stroke my hand across, that's good. They need to fit into the slot. They need to be big enough to support it. You don't want them massive or they're going to look ugly. So even on tables where I've made dining tables, that was an average sort of size. And the beautiful way of laying things out using the width of the square can be really quick and simple to do. Make it easy to do. Right, okay. I'm just going to deviate for 30 seconds. Because we had a question last week about my turning tools. All right. Oh, a bit too close now. Look, go back a bit. Diamond file. One of the guys said, how do you sharpen that? So I'm hoping you get the idea of what this is. This has hollow grind on the side here. It's a negative rate grind. So actually it is done with a grinding wheel coming down the side. Ben, can you go camera 2 for me? That might be better. All right. So we've got a grinding wheel that comes down the edge there, and then they come across the front. So the top section is hollow. When I come to sharpen that, I literally diamond file flat across that hollow, 2 or 3 swipes from new. That's all I need to do. I don't want to do it loads. So I'm just going to see if I can find you something with some writing. But it'll focus. Try that. Get the camera back into, right, okay. Give you a packet. So diamond file on the top, we can come across there, down there. The camera doesn't like the white backing board I'm using. To sharpen it then, the top edge is here. I sharpen the outside face here. Front tip comes around, got a curve, hollow grind on the top. I rub my diamond file up along there, round that corner. So if I'm going to do it, I'd actually turn it on its side and hold it. Rub down through there to do the front. I bring the hand around, go to there. There's the tool. Okay, push up the front, around the corner. Simple as that. Don't go putting it on your grinder. You will cause more problems putting it on the grinder. The only time I grind it is when the front face becomes totally flat. So I'm hoping that will answer that question from last week. All right, good. That also just gives me a breather to get my breath back. Right, so we've got our buttons. We need 8. How many have I got? Let's have a quick look. Pick the glue back up, put it out of the way. Now, I cut some already, all right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 is really tight. Now, we'll take a bit more of it. Easier to do than trying to pair that with chisel and get your depth. This is small amount of material. No breakout on the back edge because it's a cutting tool that will cut, so not sever those fibers. Funny, I've got 7. Must be one else somewhere. We'll go with 7 for a minute, unless it's over here. All right. Right, just hunting for the other bits we're going to want. Want that. We'll want that in a minute. Preparation. I'll bring them back, Ben. Oh, other way. All right, so playing with the cameras just to see if we can get you a bit nearer again. We need to drill a hole in the buttons. Camera freeze frame, having funnies in a moment. That's weird. Okay, Ben, try it now, mate. All right. So to do, okay. I made up a block. All right. So this is a piece of timber, bit of plywood. I've got board on there. This is only cut to an arrow shape because it was in the offcut bin. That's purely the reason. It's quite nice because it gives me a center line, made it easy. Plywood backboard. So the idea of my buttons is I can fit them into that slot. All right. Quite nice, isn't it? Quick and easy. I'm going to have a couple of those. Shouldn't need them too much. I don't really like drilling things on my shooting board, but it'll work. We can drill down through here. Go on then, Ben.
So it's just another quick question about your box refinement tool.
Right.
Can you put the hollow grind on the top of the tool without the wheel?
Not easily. Okay. The flat one or the straight one isn't too bad, but difficult to do on a grinder because it's a negative rake. So it's very tricky to get your bench grinder table low enough to do a hollow grind on here. It is factory done. That's why I kind of said, don't go trying to grind this. You're better off leaving it alone. Light diamond foul just to get rid of the very light burr edge, if you like. It's the only reason I do the top. So ideally, don't go trying to grind that. It's there. You shouldn't need to grind it. The major edge out here is where you can sharpen because this edge isn't square. Actually tapers towards the top. So it's not a square section piece of steel bar. Actually has a tapered edge on the left-hand side. All right. So don't go trying to grind it unless you really have to. I have managed to correct a couple for people over the years. All right, Ben. Let me know if that solves it, or we can have another look. So just drilling our hole. So by doing simple jig blocks like this makes it quick and simple to drill those. And you get them all in the same place. Drilled. Okay. Got one down there. That's where it is. Last one. We can drill. So you can see how quick and easy you can make up a little drilling block. And the nice thing that is if you did your buttons, and this goes back, I suppose, to that other question, is there any size they need to be? If you make them quite repetitively as a size, you don't throw that away. You keep it. Next thing we're going to do, snail cutter. Now, we did these a little bit when we did the chair the other month. I need to do that side there, turn it over. Don't need to do too much. Some of you have nice pillar drill machine. You could do them on there. Do your depth stop. This will give me a chatter-free countersunk for the screw to sit in. All right, good. Move those out the way. Getting to that stage of need another declutter session. Try and move things back along the bench, put the block plane back in its rack. The drill, we're going to want the shooting board workstation has moved there. Take the clamps off. On my way, Ben. Have a clamp just to get, and then we'll do the clear the dust. Okay, what you got, mate?
So Fenrica would like to know what was the chamfer cutter, the snail cutter?
So, sorry, what's the?
Yeah, that
You
one.
want to have a look?
Is that okay?
Back in. So this is. I'll put it right over there, don't I? I've got the tube, got the lid. Let's have a quick look to make sure I'm giving you the right thing. Okay. Right. So this is. Oh my God, my hand doesn't bend that far around there. That's better. A DE-BURRING snail cutter. Fish one. All right. I think this is on the shopping list I did. There's an idea. I love these as a tool. They're actually a sheet metal worker's tool in reality from years ago. Woodworkers, we've had countersinks for years, but they tend to create a chatter. This will actually cut and give you nice, clean hole. All right, how about that? All right, Ben. Next one, mate. Go on, then.
And then David would like to know what would be the best material to make a shooting board.
As a company, we're looking at having a shooting board made that we can retail and sell. I actually have a prototype shooting board I made in here out of mullet, which is that hard plastic that we have. Lots of things like the worktop jigs and everything made out. Why? It's stable, doesn't move, doesn't matter if you get it wet, all those sort of things. Fantastic. My shooting board in here for years, I've had birch ply, strip of wood put inside. Let's bring the camera back and see if we can get a bit better there. So I've got a piece of tulip wood in here, or a piece of timber, piece of birch ply, screwed down to a piece of kitchen worktop. Now, the reason I like kitchen worktop for the base material, it's stable, it doesn't move. It also has a glide property to help things move. Real basic type of shooting board, but really quite easy to make. Got one or two in here where the bar is there, and I can have a right or left-handed one. So something like your plywood and kitchen worktop offcuts are really good because they're more stable, as long as you don't get this wet. Ben.
And then Colin would like to know, is there a way that you can sharpen the snail cutter?
I've never had to. So not something I've really sharpened. If you are going to, the only place you can sharpen in reality with this will be the inside of that hole. So you would need something like a round diamond file, possibly the blue bendable abrasive that we're going to use again in a couple of weeks' time. But really a round diamond file, you sharpen that inside hole, it's going to be the only place you'd actually work around that edge, come around it. So a bit like, if you like, I'll grab my pencil. Back to there, you'd actually work around that edge. It's the only way you're going to do it, okay? Just inside the hole. But if you use it for your woodwork and you look after it, it's not going to need sharpening. Keep it clean. You'll find most of them when you buy something like that. This has storage tube, goes in. I keep my drill bit in there as well. Put the two together. All right, so that protects it and keeps it nice and safe for you. Stops you damaging it. Good way of looking after it. Right, we're taking the clamps off the underframe, so now we're hoping it's dry. Put the top back in. Now at the moment we've got quite crisp corners on here. What do I want to do with these? Don't want them that sharp. We've got a nice clean hand planed edge that we could oil straight off. We could hand sand stuff. I've just put my little batten underneath. I have this. Made this years ago. This is a new one. I made a table with a chamfered edge all the way around, routed edge. And the router tore the life out of it. And I wanted to create a nice, flat, cleaned up, sanded surface on that routed edge. Very difficult to do. So what we have, I have a piece of plywood, bit of MDF. You can use whatever you like. Screwed together. 2 screws. Now cut to a 45-degree angle. I hope you can see the colour difference on the bits of wood. You can, that's good. Screwed together. Got to be careful screwing them together. My abrasive, if I undo the screws, I can pull my abrasive, which is there, through. I can extend it. The white surface goes onto the tabletop. So I can sand. All we're doing now, taking the arrows off the edge, all the way down through. I can work all the way around it. But that gives me a nice, accurate and consistent edge. Unlike if we're there with your sanding block and a bit of wood and you're sort of, we want to get it nice and consistent. So something as simple like that can be really good. All right. So Ben, I don't know if you, I've got label this as copyrighted to me now. Okay. All right. So, but so simple to make, guys. And you can change your abrasive paper and do the screws. Off you go. All right. So our top, just going to flip things away. Need to get a bit of this in. Time's ticking on. Look. Mat on there. Turn it over, underside of my top. Down there. Oh, push my button in. One. No, I'm probably going to do a few of these. I don't know if I'm going to fix them all in place. I can load them all in. You can see how these just push in, hopefully. Do I need to bring you back again, Ben? Do I? Okay, that's better. Now I've got my 8 that will fit in round. One across there. So this will pull the top down and allow it to move across the grain as well. On my top, I allowed a 30mm overhang. So I think I'm going to be quick and simple as long as I put the glasses back on. 30 is there. That one there to there. Push it down, check down this end a little bit. Okay. You need something as an overhang. 25mm could be nice. You need something to clear, if you like, where the skirting board is and the wall. So in other words, the top will hit the wall, clear the skirting board with your legs. A little bit. So I'm just getting things equal, lining it up. That looks good. Now you've seen they've given me that I was allowed a luxury today of a cordless drill. All right, Ben sat here laughing. He knows it's kind of right. So cordless drill. I love this as a drill because I can undo this collar, take the drill chuck off. On there, line it back up. So now we've got an offset head. What difference does that make? Oh, it makes it so much easier to get to these. Good. First one. How much torque setting do I want? Come back round to there. Now I'm going to put 4 screws in at the moment. So that offset head, what difference does that make? It really means the fact that I can get right into these without touching the drill chuck against the rails that we shaped last week. So really useful as a piece of kit. I was given something by one of the Bosch reps years ago as a torch and a battery. Never had any 12-volt stuff, so I didn't have a charger. So I ended up buying one of these. My favourite piece of kit probably at home, that little drill. Right, so we're going to put 4 on because actually, when we get this done, I'm going to turn it over a minute. It's going to come to there. We need to finish this. Now, there might be a little bit more hand sanding to do to this, but I could even do the hand sanding as long as I've got rid of my pencil marks and everything I don't want, can do later. So Cameron 1, Ben, just for a minute. So we fixed it down. Now, the reason I said I'm going to do the 4, I might need to, well, no, I will need to take the top back off. Because when you start getting into things like your finishing, you need to balance the piece of material. By balance it, you put moisture or finishing material both sides. So I would need to take the top off so we can coat all of it. Well, I've just put some oil finish just on here. Just going to wipe this along. So to apply my oil finish, so if I come back, go camera free for me, Ben. I know I've got tissue paper, bit of cotton cloth. Turn it over. Make something a bit like a French polishing rubber. I can dip it into the oil. Then we're going to come back round to here. So I can apply a light coat without it running everywhere. I can work around this. I'd need to take the top off so we can do the underside. That'll stop it curling and twisting. I'm hoping bringing that colour out a little bit for you changes that immensely, doesn't it? So work along. But you need to do both sides. So first few coats of oil, and this will really soak up. I can do the ends. I could do the chamfer bit on the underside as well. Let's just move that back out the way. Let's just come up to this end. You can see the colour change, bringing that colour out nicely. I'm a real oil finish fan. It's something that home woodworkers can easily do. It's easy to rejuvenate. It hasn't got the characteristics of French polish, as in wear and everything else that you need to keep touching up. So quite a good, easy finish to work with. All right, Ben, what have you got?
So another question from Tio. With the sorry, can the buttons handle the seasonal contraction and expansion of the wood?
Okay, so the buttons will allow it to expand and contract because they're fixed in underneath into the slots. So where they go into the slots, it doesn't quite touch the side with the step. It's a little bit wider. So you've got that movement to allow it to expand and contract. You're not firmly holding the top totally. It's got a groove that the buttons can slide in and out of within that top. Major places obviously have more down the side. The two on the ends here are stopping anything twisting and cupping. So that's purely the reason. So the buttons are quite a traditional old type of fixing to hold that down, get fixed in place. They don't look too ugly. Nicer than a steel bracket, definitely. So let's bring this up to here a minute then. I don't know if you can get that in. You can. All right, that looks quite nice as a little table. Quite an elegant shaped leg down through here. Got a lovely taper. Now the taper is only on the inside edge, but you wouldn't think so. That curved bridge shape, 25mm step in either end. Why? It's easier to do. Don't make things that blend in totally. If you go back to the mortise and tenon video, remember I did a little offset step on the bottom of here, so you don't get any holes where you've glued it in, everything else. So all those little bits of info in there. But actually it looks quite an elegant table. Maria, hope you'll like this. And I know the chair, I mean, Colin, he's not allowed to come and do this now, I mean. Ben?
A question from Maria. So she's going back to basics. What size a hole do you drill for what size screw?
So to drill through the button?
To drill through the button.
I think I've used a 3mm, 3.5mm. You want it to clear. So in reality, the screw will fit through that buttonhole. It's not going to push it apart when you're screwing it down on the table. It should fit through nicely. I'm a great one for drilling a pilot hole. Make sure the screw fits and then fix the two bits of wood together. Be it this, be it even, I've just redone certain things on my shed pine construction. I had to drill a hole all the way through, then screw it in. I won't just sort of push the screw in and hope it's going to go through. Or split those, definitely. All right, Ben. Okay. Now, let's just going to lift this off. I'm hoping you like the little table. I love the elegant shape. I love the colour of the top. That's quite nice. As we said with it originally, so definitely last week, you can make your own table. You can make it fit that place next to your sofa, your armchair, wherever you like. You can have a nice hall table. I want to make a tall one that goes in my hall inside my front door. Different legs. Done one where we had ash legs with walnut feet. That looked really nice. So you can alter it. The joy of doing this for yourself, you can easily alter things and set it up. So you can make it personal for you and what you want to do. Now, I'm just playing around with the camera. I will see if we can probably get this scanned as well. This is the sizes that we did. All right, Ben, does that show? That's not too bad. Good. All right. So that's the sizes that we've done as a sheet. All right, that's the sizes I've used there. So I've said about the top, this is finished size. The tenons were 34mm long rail, short rail, but you can make it whatever you like. I often have, and I know when we've done this as group sessions and stuff years ago, do you do a proper drawing and cutting list? That was my original drawing and cutting list. All right, it was that rough and ready as I wanted an idea of what size I want it to be. Takes a little bit of maths, nothing too much. So can be done. Go on then, what have you got?
So going back to the pilot holes, is the pilot hole a clearance hole?
So the pilot hole, I've got an idea. glasses. So pilot hole really is a clearance hole for the screw. So the screw wheel, this one just grips a bit. So I've got a 3mm and a 3.5mm screw, 3.5 screw and a 3mm. Be nice to have a 3.5mm hole through there. So in reality, this should push through easily. What I definitely don't want is a hole that's too small. So when you screw this onto the other workpiece, and if you think definitely on small screws, they're threaded all the way up towards the head. Doesn't always help, because actually if you think about a scenario where you've screwed something together and you haven't managed to hold this with a clamp, it'll push it apart, forces it apart, because you've got a spiral thread that grips and pushes things apart. So yes, you will be better off having a clearance hole where that will push through. I've got I need a 3.5mm really. I can feel I've just got a bit of a twist, but yes, it wants to be there as a good clean hole. Won't hurt to be, be able to drop the screw in and out of there. That's definitely not going to hurt. All right.
And she likes the table much better than the chair.
Sorry?
Maria likes the table much better than the chair.
Maria, I designed the table. I didn't do the chair. All right. I've just offended everyone in Canada now for you. So hopefully you've enjoyed this. Funnily enough, I said to you last week, I went and saw, and it's a friend of mine who actually died back in April. I got a lot of my timber from, and I made him a table exactly the same as that in a timber called Japanese cedar. And it was amazing to see it about 2 weeks ago. We went down to his house, and the amazing figure and everything else. And the shape just worked beautifully for this, for such a simple little table to make. Most people seem to put about the fact of, I've got to cut stuff by hand. It's not that problematic, actually. Mortises, the tenons, don't take that long. Put a little bit of time in, don't rush it. Spend your time, get it right. There's nothing better. And I know with the little table, Andrews, I went and saw the other week, his nephew was there and he was gobsmacked by this little table, the color, the shape, everything else. So quite nice to look at. All right. So great little design. We've done, as we said, cutting list down on here. Ben's got that on there. That size, as if you wanted that email to you, I'm pretty sure we can do that. We can sort that out in the next coming days. You might need to email Ben. I'm going to not be in for a few days. So if you email Ben, I'll make sure he's got a copy of this somehow, or we can have that and you can scan it. It's in the documents as well. So it's there. Any other questions, Ben? Anything you, all right? Maria, it's nice to have you back. I did notice, like I said the other week, you weren't in. The guys out in Malta and everything else. Hope you've answered your questions there. Jenny, obviously your sander, it didn't arrive in time. I'm sorry. All right. I'd love to have a sander. I will say, I used the Merca sander next door, but don't tell anyone, all right? Shh. All right. So Ben's back in tomorrow. He's going to do a bit more on his magic wands, decorating. So no turning tomorrow, but he's going to do some decorating, pyrography stuff. All right. Those sort of things, what you can do with your wands. So abracadabra. We'll see you tomorrow. Goodbye.